crickets in the apartment just woke up, so here's hoping that they don't pick up on the mic. If they do, I don't know, I'll have Macro Blank playing in the background, so hopefully that'll help. Hello, Internet. This is Gamma Ray Garrett, otherwise known as Garrett Max Weinstein. I'm here for you with another vlog about books. I had a lot of positive reception of the first one, which was very nice. And I realized it was going to be like a couple days before I was ready to do another Wheel of Time one. Made some good progress on it, but you know, you don't want to rush through, you don't want to ruin it. I thought it would be fun to do like a lightning round of books that I had read over the summer, while we try and get through more of the Wheel of Time. So without further ado, I'm going to be talking about the Dune sequels today, specifically books 2, 3, and 4. 2 I read as an ebook, so I don't have it to hold up right now, but that's fine because I only have 2 hands. I really loved the first Dune when I read it, but something about the ending felt very like sudden and incomplete. And so when I was reading Messiah, I had this feeling of like completion, where I was like, oh yeah, this is what it was needing. It feels finished now. But I also understand the decision to separate them because Messiah is very different tonally. It's very like introspective and depressing, which means I love it, but I can also understand why some people bounce off of it a little bit. After Messiah, we get Children of Dune, which to me felt like way more of like a return to form crowd pleaser. And I mean that in a good way. I actually can see myself rereading this a bunch of times. It was very fun. I think I like it more than the first book, but not quite as much as the second book. But it's also interesting to me how like every Dune book feels very different. Like even though this is what I say is a return to form, it's also like reinventing itself and doing new and interesting things in returning to that old formula. Then we have the infamous God Emperor of Dune. I say infamous because you don't really hear people talk about this one that much outside of talking about how weird it is and how strange it is and just kind of memeing on it. And none of that could have prepared me for how actually really weird and strange it is when I was reading it. I enjoyed it, but it is absolutely a massive departure from the first 3. And like, if you like book 1, you'll probably like book 2 and 3. I have no idea if that means that you'll like this book. This is such a different, weird book. And I liked it, but I can also see why I hear less and less about the books after this, because I'm sure a lot of people just bounced off of this. So in addition to reading the Dune books, I had also read Isaac Asimov's Caves of Steel, which, a little backstory on my experience with these books. I had read the sequel to this about 10 years ago, because they're sort of serialized, episodic. You don't need to read the whole thing to understand an individual one. So I enjoyed the one that I read. And then when I was getting back into reading, I thought, oh, why don't I go back to that? I'll read the first one, I'll read the second one, I'll read the third one. And this was such a joy, you know, such a pleasure. When I looked into why he wrote this, the idea was he was frustrated with science fiction being pigeonholed as like a genre, when he viewed it more as a setting. So he wanted to write like some explicitly genre stuff. So this is like a buddy cop detective book about solving a murder mystery, but it takes place in the future, and the buddy cop is a synthetic, like, replica human. Like, he's a robot, but he looks exactly like a human. And so it's sort of about this like tension between the changing world and the what they call like the medievalists, which is the people who adhere to the past. And it's a very interesting book, but it also just does not take itself too seriously. It is such a fun read, and sometimes it's like almost farcical, but it's so enjoyable that you're kind of just like, yeah, that's fine. you guys can be this cartoonish. It's okay. I'm not gonna. It enhances it. And last but not least, I have The Last Wish, the first Witcher book by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is a collection of short stories that were published in like magazines. You get to see him grow as an author as the books go on, and that was sort of the thing that impressed upon me most. I found some of the early stories to be paced kind of slowly, or maybe even awkwardly. Like, he just didn't know how to be economic with his details. All of the concepts are strong, but some of them in the early chapters are just, they were kind of a slog. And then about halfway through it, things really kick off. You can tell he figures out how to pace these a little bit better, how to make them a little bit more engaging and give it a little bit more momentum. And by the end of it, I was like glued to the page. I'm very excited to see where this goes. So, looking forward to reading The Storm of Swords? No. I don't know. That's a Game of Thrones book. Storm of Swords. The Sword of Destiny. That's what it's called. I'm looking forward to reading The Sword of Destiny, which is the second Witcher book. So that's everything that I'm going to cover today. I got some more books for like a lightning round part 2, but I kind of thought that this would be a pretty significant chunk to talk about. I might revisit these someday to give them like their own video, but I just kind of wanted to chat. I enjoyed making this yesterday, so I thought that it would be fun to do it again today. Making some more progress on the Wheel of Time, and it's really popping off, so I am very excited to get back to that. I'll have another vlog for you guys in a couple days. And until then, you can find me online on Twitter or Instagram at GammaRayGarrett, GarrEtt. Hope you have a lovely afternoon, or evening, or morning. What time is it? Furthermore, what is time? There's the cricket.